Our next item of business is the 2017 through 2021 Infrastructure Capital Improvement Plan. This is a public hearing, and there are copies on the desk if you would like to see them. Mr. Berry?
Mayor and Commission, as you said, the Infrastructure Capital Improvement Plan is a 5-year plan that the city is required to do, and it is extremely important for any funding request that we may pursue. The state as a whole in general has really become standardized on any request that's submitted. They'll go to our ICIP and see if it's listed, first of all, and where it's listed. This is the first of a number or several meetings that we would propose, and the schedule is kind of like this. We would talk about this tonight at the June meeting, and then we plan on having additional public hearings at the 1st July and 1st August meeting, and then in August we plan on bringing a resolution to the Commission, pass the resolution adopting the revised and updated Infrastructure Capital Improvement Plan, and then we'll submit that to the state. So that's generally the schedule. I think tonight what we'd like to do is show you what we have currently, and it's important on two counts here. Number one, that the public participate in the update of the plan, and the Commission accepts that input, and you prioritize what you would like to see and where your efforts would be over the next 5 years. And so we can go down the list really, or at least of the top 5 of what we've seen as a priority for the city of Raton. But what our goal is that by August we have the revisions made, and we have the priorities established of where we're going to go really over the next 5 years. So I'll kind of briefly go down the list of what we have shown previously, and the number one priority is shown as a transfer station and a recycle center. We did request funding from the legislature and the governor this year, and my understanding is we were not funded on that. Now, however, we were funded to the amount of $150,000 for street reconstruction, and you can see that that's listed as a number 3 priority on our ICIP. So we've talked about the importance of the transfer station and the recycle center. That number 1 would make our operation more efficient, more compliant with regulation, and we would see a significant increase in the recycled volumes, we believe. At number 2 on the list is Lake Maloya Dam safety improvements, and what this consists of, currently there is some funding in place, and there is some analysis going on Lake Maloya Dam. Originally, when the dam was built, there were 4 outlet conduits or pipes that were installed in the embankment under the dam. That's one of the riskiest things for an old dam, is old pipes under the dam. It's a risky thing even for a new dam, because it's difficult to install those pipes and then get compaction or consolidation of embankment fill around those, where it will not act differently than the rest of the embankment. So you might see failure sometimes from a piping incident occurring around a conduit. So what we've seen on our pipes, and we've kept a close eye on those, one of those outlet conduits began leaking in the 1970s, and it leaked severely. And so at that time the city had filled that full of a cement grout, and that resolved that outlet pipe. So that left 3 of those in service, and in recent years, additionally, one of those pipes has also started leaking in the interior of the dam. And the problem with that is that can result in internal erosion of the dam. So that pipe right now is valved off. There's a valve on the inside of the lake that's closed, and that's resolved the leaking issue. But we would anticipate that pipe probably can't be rehabilitated. It would probably be filled with a cement grout also. So the remaining 2 pipes, what the action is right now is to try to do an internal inspection of those pipes and come up with a rehabilitation plan. So there's a couple of characteristics of those pipes that make that really difficult, but that work is going on. Dan Campbell from Raton Waterworks is managing a project to do that right now. And right now there's a process going on of called pre-qualification of contractors. So we want to find a specialized contractor that has experience in this type of work. And there's a pre-qualification process going on right now. It'll take place over the next couple of weeks or a couple of months, and then ultimately that contractor will perform the inspection of the conduits, and the engineers will come up with a rehabilitation plan for those 2 pipes. So currently there is a capital outlay in the amount of $200,000 to perform that work. I would say that depending on what the plan is to rehabilitate the pipes is going to cost far more than $200,000. So that's ongoing. That's shown as a high priority on our capital improvement plan. We have had a failure 2 out of these 4 pipes, so we're concerned about the remaining pipes and the age of those conduits. So that work is going on, but we would recommend that we continue to list that as a high priority till we get that project completely funded and complete. Now the second part of Lake Maloya improvements are in regard to the spillway, and so the standard for Lake Maloya is it's classified as a high hazard dam, and that requires a spillway for the probable maximum flood, and that's the statistically greatest precipitation event that we would predict. So naturally that's a pretty large event. So we have we've looked at that, we've done the analysis of that event, and we have inadequate spillway capacity for that event. So this is going to take some time, but to do improvements to the dam that would bring us into compliance with the rules for that spillway capacity. That's also an expensive project. I think in the next year or 2, what we would see is a preliminary engineering report, and it would do a brief analysis of the actions that you would take to gain that spillway capacity and likely costs, and that would be very preliminary. So you'll probably see that coming, probably in a year or 2 that we would see that PER. Number 3, we have street construction, and I think you could go to any street in town and we really have needs for street reconstruction. So that's something that we will always pursue funding on, and I think it would always be one of our top priorities. So as we've talked about, we go to a number of places to try to find some funds to fix streets, and the local government road fund is one place we apply for every year. That's the MAP program and the co-op program through DOT. We have asked for funding through capital outlay, and as we talked about the special session on Monday, it looks like Raton would receive $150,000 of capital outlay for streets. CDBG might be a possibility for street reconstruction, and we would also anticipate having, as part of these ICIP public hearings for a CDBG application. Now there are special requirements for conducting a CDBG application, so we would probably see that at the next July meeting. We would make those preparations. Drainage and storm drain system improvements. We do have a project in hand now to make improvements on Park and Cook. The original town site really has antiquated storm drain system, so we would anticipate continuing to upgrade that system. And we have seen some minor flooding in the downtown area as a result of that system not functioning as well as it should. So we'd like to continue that work, but we do anticipate that we would have a project coming to the commission for your consideration and go into construction of a drainage project that should tremendously help Cook Avenue and Park Avenue. Number 5, we see a new medical response unit And I think as far as the ambulance service that we offer, a lot of wear and tear. I think that's always something that's a high priority, is looking at how we're going to replace existing equipment. And then you can kind of go down the list. We have public works equipment, and I can tell you it's something that we've talked about a lot. The equipment that public works uses, we have not done a real good job of planning the replacement of that. We have some old equipment, and we have equipment that's pretty close to being at the end of its useful life. So that's something we need to look at. Pretty difficult to get capital outlay for that, but we'll look at places that we could get some funding. Multimodal renovation is on the list, as we may have discussed before. That's out to bid right now, and assuming that we can get bids that are within the funds, we would anticipate going to construction on that in August or in September. We have listed rail line repairs. That's in regard to the Amtrak line, and the $4 million you see a one-time expense. That's really statewide. That's not something we would anticipate funding here, but we want to demonstrate that the rail line repairs and the Amtrak service is important to Raton, so we would list it on our ICIP. Filter plant remodel, as we go down the list, there is actually an engineering preliminary design going on right now with engineering analytics to do some renovations to the Raton water treatment plant. That treatment plant was constructed in 1948, and in order to comply with regulations as they've changed over the years, there have been a steady series of projects to upgrade that, and there's one that's necessary right now. So the Waterworks Department is working on that project currently. Emergency Services Regional Training Center. We do have a training center now, and we would anticipate an upgrade of that. The Senior Center renovations. Commissioner Sagata has pointed out the number of renovations that Senior Center needs, starting with the leaking roof. We have a severe leak down there. We have equipment issues. We have interior issues that stem from leaks in the roof. So there's a number of renovations that we would need to do now, and then that's a continuous process of keeping the building up to the specs that we need to operate a senior center. Storm drainage channel. We've done a lot of work in-house on restoration of storm drain channels, but a lot of these were built 75 years ago or more, and we're seeing a lot of wear and tear on those. So that's going to be something that we talk about as we go. The lift station that's listed on the front page, there were bids received on that today. The Water Board is going to consider those at their next meeting, but the bids were high, I would tell you, and I think that they would talk to the engineers about coming up with another plan besides what was bid today. And then we have an item there for roundhouse parks and improvements there. So generally in the ICIP, and you can keep going, we showed about 50 projects here. They cover really every aspect of infrastructure in Raton, and we try to cover all areas. But it would be up to the commission to decide where the priorities going forward would be, and we have placed the current ICIP on the table, and a big part of this is getting that input from the public. So we're looking for that right now. So people that are in attendance, if you could take a copy of that with you, and they can get their comments to us a number of ways. You can just come in and see me at City Hall and give me your comments. You can write those down, or you can address the commission in some of our future public hearings, but that's important. So I would kind of leave it at that. Mayor, answer any questions that we might have. We've got some work to do here, and we would like to complete it at that first meeting in August. So we've got a couple of meetings to talk about the ICIP.
Okay. Since this is a public hearing, does anyone have anything that they would like to tell the commission at this time? Okay. Scott, what's the difference between street reconstruction on page 1 and city street and drainage improvement on page 2?
Mayor, I would say that that's just duplication and one of those things that we need to clean up. In past years, tendency has been, we get to a deadline on the ICIP, they say it has to be in by this date. A resolution is rushed in front of the commission, and we haven't done a very good job in the past of allowing the public to comment, allowing the commission to have an adequate time to consider it, and you see some things in the list that need cleaned up. That's,
Okay, all right.
that's a duplication that we
Okay.
need to clean up.
Deliberate and act on union contract between the City of Raton and the AFS CME Local 1601. Mr. Berry?
Mayor and Commission, there has been collective bargaining between the City of Raton and AFSCME, standing for American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees. That negotiation included myself, Jason Phillips, and Pat Behill of Public Works and Sanitation Department. And I understand that the local has voted on the agreement that you have in front of you and has approved that agreement.
Okay.
Just to summarize what's in the agreement, we're looking at a 3-year agreement, and in year 1, which would begin on July 1st of this year, there would be a 2.5% increase for all classifications of members under this agreement. In the second year, there would be a 2% increase, and in the third year, there would be a 2% increase. That 3-year agreement with those steps is the same as the UMWA agreement with the Raton Water Board. That was negotiated and approved earlier in the year. So that's the same. You see a increase in the clothing allowance from previous contract. Under this, in the clothing allowance, we do pay for things that go to safety equipment like steel-toe boots and some of the clothing that's required to do the job. So there's been an increase on that. There was language that has been cleaned up in regard to things like combined leave that we're taking out. And you see in here, the agreement is that within 2 years, the combined leave will be totally phased out, and we'll go to annual leave, sick leave, as it's listed in the ordinance.
Can I ask if the clothing allowance is on a reimbursable basis?
It's not, Mayor. We pay that out.
We pay that out and it's included on the W-2.
That's correct.
Mr. Berry, how many employees are fall under this contract?
Commissioner Giacomo,
Approximately.
I'm going to look over here and see if Jason knows.
At the current time, we have 7 members of the union and 3 probationary employees that would be union eligible. We'd expect a workforce between 10 and 11 during the life of this contract.
Thank you.
Thanks for the pickup, Jason.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion that we accept this agreement between the City of Raton and AFSCME.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to accept the union contract between the City of Raton and AFSCME Local 1601. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Segada,
Yes.
Commissioner Giacomo,
Yes.
Commissioner Schuster,
Yes.
Commissioner Chavez,
Yes.
Mayor Mintz.
Yes. Motion passes. Deliberate and act on Main Street biannual memorandum of understanding. Mr. Berry?
Mayor and Commission, we have the next 2 items, the biennial memorandum of understanding, which would run through the fiscal year 2017, and then the next would be a resolution and
Yes.
supporting a public-private economic development Main Street project. And I'll address both in general. I think that Raton has one of the strongest Main Street organizations in New Mexico. We spent quite a bit of time talking to New Mexico Main Street, and they are really complimentary of our Raton Main Street. There's been a high level of cooperation, I think, between the city of Raton and Raton Main Street. It's really a pleasure to work with Main Street people. Very motivated, I think very dedicated to the improvement of Raton, and it's kind of showing in that downtown area really is an area of momentum. So we've seen some businesses that have indicated they would like to open and start business in that downtown area. We've talked to those stakeholders about our plans with water line improvements, street improvements, multimodal improvements, and that's an area of town where we have some positive momentum. And a lot of that is really the efforts of Raton Main Street. So the memorandum of understanding really is, it expresses our cooperation to continue working with Main Street. And then we've talked about our projects that we have going on with Main Street, and there currently is a master plan update of the downtown area, and there was a public hearing held here last night, and a good turnout. We had basically a full room to talk about that. It was input to the consultant as far as what people here would like to see in that master plan. Really had a good turnout. And then secondly, the Great Blocks Grant, which is really exciting to me. That's and it is because I think that New Mexico Main Street and state economic development are really dedicated to seeing that through. But we're doing a plan right now. I'm really optimistic that that will turn into a funded project as we go forward.
Okay. And then
She's kind of sitting in the back, but Brenda Ferry, the director from Raton Main Street, is present, and she might be able to add any additional information or answer questions. Sorry, Brenda.
Do you have any questions?
I was impressed last night, Ms. Ferry, with the Main Street that came in from Santa Fe, and what they said about our Main Street program and how well it's working, and it's being used as a model. So kudos to the Main Street.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations and thank you for all your hard work.
No, thank you. I couldn't do it without the partnership with the city, or we couldn't do it without the partnership with the city, so we really appreciate all of your hard work as well.
I would point out that we do have Mr. Hegeman present also from New Mexico Economic Development, and you know, I think Tim could tell us how important the Main Street program is to Raton and how it's regarded statewide. It's very high.
Thank you.
Make a motion that we accept the biannual MOU between City of Raton and the New Mexico Main Street program.
I'll second.
we have a motion and a second to accept the biannual memorandum of understanding between the City of Raton and Raton Main Street. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Schuster,
Yes.
Commissioner Giacomo,
Yes.
Commissioner Chavez.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Segata,
Yes.
Mayor Mintz.
Yes, motion passes. Business is deliberate and act on Main Street Resolution 2015-21, supporting a public-private economic development Main Street project. Brenda or Mr. Barry?
Mayor and Commission, the resolution does state that the City of Raton will partner with Raton Main Street, may leverage technical assistance and other resources through New Mexico Economic Development Department, New Mexico Main Street, to support the economic redevelopment and the revitalization of Raton Main Street District. And I think we're really addressing things like the improvements at Schuler Theater, the Great Blocks Grant project, some of those positive momentum projects that we've talked about. So,
Have anything to add, Brenda? No? Okay.
I'm sorry I'm blank right now, but I believe those are the ones that we're working on right now.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions?
Go ahead.
Make a motion that we accept Main Street Resolution 2015-21, supporting the public-private economic development Main Street project.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to support the public-private economic development Main Street project. We have a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Chavez.
Yes.
Commissioner Giacomo.
Yes.
Commissioner Schuster.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Segata.
Yes.
Mayor Mance.
Yes, motion passes. Resolution 2015-22, budget adjustment number 10.
Mayor and Commission, we do have City Treasurer Michael Ann Antonucci present to present you the information and answer any questions you have.
Good evening, Commission. In your packet this evening, we do have budget adjustment number 10, and you'll see the first couple adjustments are just merely to utilize some funds for the K-9 training. Our K-9 officer is currently in California doing that training, and so his training will actually occur partially in this fiscal year, and then we'll also budget for the remaining of his training in the next fiscal year. And then also police grants, that does reflect the total amount of the E911 dispatch grant that we get annually. $52,500 of that is for a new generator, which we will be getting that here in the next couple weeks, I believe. And so we're grateful to be getting that. And then also street improvements, we have some adjustments in that area as well to utilize gas tax reserves for the placement of millings on various streets, Tiger Drive sidewalk repairs, storm drain repairs, and then also we'll transfer out the $35,000 from the street improvement, which is our gas tax fund, to the Tiger Drive project for those additional project costs, and that project is currently underway right now. And then other than that, under historic buildings, we budgeted for this in the next fiscal year, but we've actually received our first invoice this week, and so I'd like to pay that before the end of the fiscal year for the Downtown Master Plan grant for Sites Southwest. So I went ahead and just budgeted the full amount of the grant, not knowing really how much they'll bill us between now and June 30. And then whatever the balance is what we'll actually put in the budget for next fiscal year. So if there's any questions.
Under your LEPF, I think you have a transposition error in your figures.
Oh, yeah, I do. Sorry about that. And I looked at that a couple different times.
I looked at it and didn't see it, but Neil saw it.
So it should be the $2,814, and we'll correct that before you sign it. Thank you for catching that. Is there anything else?
Under street improvements, the $22,000, and that's coming from where?
From your gas tax reserve.
Okay.
I didn't bring my financial report with me, but I think we have probably $280,000 in that fund currently.
And we're taking the $35,000 from capital outlay.
Yeah, for the Tiger Drive project.
Madam Mayor, make a motion that the commission accept and act on, approve the budget adjustment number 10 for fiscal year 15.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to accept budget adjustment number 10, resolution 2015-22. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Schuster.
Yes.
Commissioner Chavez.
Yes.
Commissioner Giacomo.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Segata.
Yes.
Mayor Mance.
Yes, motion passes.
If I could bring something up, I should have done this sooner, but we do have two representatives, sorry Jim, from New Mexico Game and Fish, and Mr. Osborne is trying to get back to Santa Fe tonight. They're under item L, and I just realized we kind of buried them on the agenda, but I wonder if you'd consider letting them move up at this time so that Mr. Osborne can travel.
Heck, no way. I think he should stay in one of our motels.
Can I have a motion to such?
I would make a motion that we move item L into item H's slot.
Okay.
I'll
before
second.
item A. All right. We have a motion and a second to amend the agenda to move item L to before item H. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
And I apologize to you guys, and I apologize to you all, I should have done that sooner. But Mayor and Commission, we would like you to consider the attached memorandum of agreement between the City of Raton and New Mexico Game and Fish. And this is in regard to bear-proof or bear-resistant containers. Now, we've had a number of conversations with New Mexico Game and Fish, and here present at the meeting tonight is Robert Osborne. He is the private land program manager for New Mexico Game and Fish, and Jim Cummings, who is the captain of the Northeast area. And we've had a number of conversations and asked for their support and funding for these bear-resistant containers. And we feel like we're very close to having a final agreement. And I think what we have here tonight, and I'd like to ask Mr. Cummings and Mr. Osborne to address the commission as far as the MOU that you have. But it's an MOU expressing our cooperation with Game and Fish and our desire to enter into that grant agreement with them.
Okay. You have the floor? Or the podium?
I actually have to give a lot of credit to Bob Osborne for drafting this MOU. He was instrumental in getting that done. I'd also like to thank City Manager Barry and Commissioner Chavez for actually meeting with us, as well as Mr. Phillips. We wouldn't have gotten to this point or got to this point without their cooperation and their willingness to talk to us. So with that being said, I'm actually going to turn it over to Bob to talk about the MOU.
The actual MOU itself is referring to us trying to work with the City of Raton so that we can get some bear dumpster, or some trash dumpsters that are, not necessarily bear proof, but much more bear resistant. And so the agreement that we have here is we have some funding that would allow us to help you to buy those dumpsters. And so the agreement outlines just a basic process for how we could go about doing that.
Okay.
And one of the things that you had asked me about earlier, Mayor Mance, is Appendix A. And as you correctly noted, there is no Appendix A at this point in time. Appendix A refers to the actual design of the dumpster itself. And we're still working on the design of the dumpster. The body of the dumpster would be the same body design that you currently have, so that it would work with your existing equipment and wouldn't require you to purchase any new trucks or anything like that. So the body of the dumpster would be the same. What we're still working on is trying to design a lid that is more bear resistant. I'm not going to say bear proof, but something that's much more resistant, something that would make it much harder. And I know Mr. Phillips has been working, trying to come up with a design that will be more effective at keeping the bears out of those dumpsters. So the body of the dumpster is going to be exactly what you're using now. The lid, we're still working with Mr. Phillips to come up with an idea of a lid, and I would defer to Mr. Phillips to give you an update on how that process is going. But what we hope to do is be able to get a design that will, again, be more resistant to bears. And if we can remove an attractant, therefore, hopefully the bears will be less inclined to come into the city if we can remove an easy attractant. And so that would be the purpose of this, is to try to get dumpsters that are more resistant and therefore remove that attractant and make it less likely that they're going to be coming into town. I mean, given where Raton is situated, you're never going to eliminate that. But we want to make it much more difficult. And so that's the basic premise behind this memorandum of agreement. And if you had any specific questions, I would certainly be happy to try to address those for you.
If I'm understanding you correctly, you have a grant in place?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
We have a grant in place. And so, that is, it's about, last time I looked, $560,000 and a little bit of change is sitting in that grant currently. This grant would expire the end of this year, so we do need to, if we're going to use it, we need to get that money spent. It is a grant where the city would have to come up with some match. If I recall, it's about 35% match. That match could come in the form of money. It could also come in the form of in-kind match. And so I know, and again, Mr. Phillips could probably give you a better idea of exactly all the different options that are available, but some things that have been discussed would be adding another route. And so dumpsters could be picked up more frequently.
To retrain our bears.
Yeah. Perhaps if in adding another route, you would need to add a part-time person or a full-time person to accommodate that extra route, then, all of that could be used as in-kind match. And so, you could use in-kind, it could be money, it could be a combination of money or in-kind. That, of course, would be up to the city council. And so, but again, that is, where we stand is, if the city is interested, we do need to have that money spent by the end of the year.
Does anyone have any questions?
Mayor and Commission, I would point out that Mr. Phillips has spent a lot of time on the project. I appreciate Mr. Osborne and Mr. Cummings, and we've had a lot of productive discussions in getting to this point. Thank you, all, gentlemen, for attending the meeting tonight. It's our recommendation that we approve the MOU and enter into the agreement and then pursue the grant funds. And I would also ask in your consideration, if the commission wishes to approve the MOU, that you would authorize my signature on the agreement.
So I'll move that we accept the MOU in the agreement with New Mexico Department of Game and Fish in the city of Raton and accept your signature.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the memorandum of agreement between the city of Raton and the Raton Fish and Game regarding bear-resistant containers, and authorize City Manager Scott Berry to sign this agreement. We have a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Chavez?
Yes.
Commissioner Schuster?
Yes.
Commissioner Giacomo?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Sagada?
Yes.
Mayor Metz?
Yes, motion passed. Deliberate and act on bid award for the concrete work on Troy Avenue Fire Station. Chief Matthews?
Madam Mayor, Commissioners, thank you for your time. I know it's been a long, busy agenda. I promise to try and keep this brief and informative. Kind of wanted to give you a little update on where we are on Station 2. About a year ago, we received approval from the Commission to start Station 2. We received approval for a new building, basically a shell and a foundation. Majority of the work we wanted the firefighters to do, trying to save some money. Well, more difficult than the sweat equity that we've been putting into the building has been getting bids for the part of work that we could not do. Honestly, on the sprinkler system and the fire alarm system, we called every single licensed contractor in the state of New Mexico trying to get bids. We did finally get 3 bids for that, so we were able to go ahead. With the concrete work and the solar paneling, which is on your agenda here, that hopefully we'll get approval for, we put it out for open sealed bids, and on both those items, we only received 1 bid. Would like to have gotten more, but we only received the 2. I think we're talking about the concrete at this time. These got a few pictures so you can see where we're at this time. Okay, these are just artist renditions here. That's showing the new building that we're working on. That's the location of it, corner of Troy and Fredericks, with that red circle. And if you're not sure where that is, the green circle there is where KRTN is. Okay. Originally, this was the old station, and that's all that it was. Leaking roof, manual doors, bay doors that would constantly come off the tracks. Since then, we have replaced the roof. It will now support the new solar panels, and the doors have been replaced. We do need to paint it yet, and the firefighters will be doing that painting themselves also. That is the location where the new building was built, that vacant or empty area there. And there is the new building at this time. Okay. On your agenda is to hopefully approve concrete work. It's more than just concrete. It'll be curb, gutter, and sidewalks. This will be some of the first sidewalks in that neighborhood. The green lines represent where the sidewalk, curb, and gutters will be going. We'll also be doing a lot of landscaping, parking lot work. Really hope to make this a benefit and increase the value of the area. Okay. This is standing on the corner of Frederick and Troy, again showing where the sidewalk, curb, and gutters are going to go. Okay. Another artist rendition of the work once it's all done. Okay, I mentioned that the firefighters are doing as much work as we possibly can. To date, we have completed and met approval with the framing, and we have started the drywall work. Hopefully within the next month or so, we will complete the drywall work. And that's, like I said, I wanted to keep it short for you. I do recommend and ask that you do approve both those bids so we can move forward and get this completed, and I make myself available for any questions.
Chief, on the solar panels, are they just going to go on the older building, or are they going to be up?
Yes. Let's see if I can here. Nope. Yeah, they're going to go on the older building that we put a new roof on, 72 solar panels, and the estimates are that within 6 years we will make our money back on the savings.
How many panels did you say?
72.
Madam Mayor and fellow commissioners, was privy I got to take a tour with Chief Matthews last week. You failed to mention that all of the firemen have been doing all this construction work, and they passed on first inspection the framing with the state of New Mexico, and it's quite admirable what they've been doing in there, and these guys are doing it. So
thank you, sir.
I'll make a motion to accept the bid for concrete work at Troy Avenue, and also do we want to combine both of them?
Yeah, first I thought we couldn't, but I think we can.
And also combining the solar collection array of Troy Avenue's fire station.
Okay.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to accept the concrete work on and curb, gutter, and sidewalk at the Station 2 on West Troy Avenue. We had one bid for $37,722.50, excluding gross receipts, from William M. Serrazio. We also have a bid for the installation of the solar panels, and we received one bid from Do It Right Construction for $56,719.54, excluding gross receipts. And the chief has assured us That is within the budget.
Yes, and I did not mention, but all these funds are coming out of the fire fund money also, not general fund.
Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Giacomo,
Yes.
Commissioner Schuster,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Sagada,
Yes.
Commissioner Chavez,
Yes.
Mayor Mance.
Yes, motion passed. Deliberate and act on RFP award for environmental and water resource legal services. Mr. Berry?
Mayor and Commission, I'm gonna, see if Jason Phillips is here. The city of Raton has requested qualification-based proposals for legal services, and this is related to environmental issues and water rights, water resources. The city did receive one proposal that was from Sheehan and Sheehan. This firm has performed Raton's representation as far as water rights for many years, and there is a current action going on water rights. It's regarding the Capulan well field, and that's related to a neighboring property that would like to drill wells and irrigate hay, I understand, out there. So Sheehan is representing Raton in that application process. It'll result in a hearing in Santa Fe. I believe that'll take place in the fall, October, I believe. We'll update the commission on that. But Sheehan is very familiar with Raton as far as water rights, and we would propose retaining Sheehan. They have done some preliminary work as far as legal issues regarding Van Busker versus City of Raton and landfill issues.
Okay.
I would recommend that we select a proposal from Sheehan and Sheehan and award a contract to that firm.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to award the environmental and water resource legal services to Sheehan and Sheehan Professional Associate. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Chavez?
Yes.
Commissioner Giacomo,
Yes.
Commissioner Schuster?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Sagada,
Yes.
Mayor Mance.
Yes, motion passes. We were going to act on the LIDA project participation agreement with the New Mexico Economic Development Department, but I don't believe we're quite ready to go on that. Is that correct?
Mayor and Commission, the staff feels that we should act on the project participation agreement, when we consider the change to the city's LIDA ordinance. So when we're changing an ordinance, that would require publication in a newspaper in a certain time before it comes to the commission, so that the public is aware of that. And that's going to happen at the next meeting, the June 23rd meeting. So we would ask you to postpone consideration of the project participation agreement, and then let's bring it up with the LIDA ordinance at the June 23rd meeting.
I'll make a motion to postpone until June 23rd.
I'll second. I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to postpone action on the LIDA project participation agreement with the New Mexico Economic Development Department until the June 23rd meeting. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Deliberate and act on consideration for engineering services for closure, post-closure activities, Gordon Environmental. Mr. Berry?
Mayor and Commission, we're talking about the Raton landfill, which was closed about 2 years ago. And what we need to do is have a plan that's approved by the Solid Waste Bureau, New Mexico Environment Department, as far as reclamation of that facility. So that's the closure, post-closure plan and activities. So Gordon Environmental has worked since 2008. They've put together a closure, post-closure plan, which was approved by the Solid Waste Bureau. Now we have that final piece of this, and the work that needs to be done is basically to install an 18-inch soil layer. It's called the barrier layer, and the characteristics of the soil would prevent rainfall or surface moisture from percolating down to the landfill. So it's a clay type of soil. We would then add a 6-inch topsoil layer on top of that and revegetate the landfill. So what Gordon has put together is a grading plan that shows the volumes of soil and how the final grading would take place. We have met with Gordon Environmental and the Solid Waste Bureau in Santa Fe, and this MOU, this agreement is basically a task order for them to prepare the final documents. Solid Waste Bureau has indicated they'll approve that. We would then bid that work and proceed along with that work. And I would state to the commission that that's going to be a high priority for us in the next couple of months to try to move this along and get this landfill reclamation completed.
Oh, yeah, because we only have 180 days.
So large volumes of soil that need to be transported to the landfill. We have to do some testing to make sure it meets the specifications. And as far as the loan proceeds that we talked about, a big portion of that would go towards this project, in addition to some of our other resources that we've accrued some money towards this reclamation work.
Have we let, for the ground, the actual soil? Because it said we were going to approve that in this meeting. Is that, do we have a plan? Have we done anything with that?
Mayor and Commission, we have really three options that we want to update you on. Number one, there was testing of soil at the area of the existing transfer station, and that generally passes the permeability test. But we're concerned that if we borrow that soil on that site, we'll leave, a large hole, and not really a way to fill that. And that site could be useful to us for other purposes.
Right.
So we also would consider taking requests or bids from adjoining property owners as far as supplying that soil. And they would designate a borrow area. We would have to, again, perform that testing of the soil. And I think we would have property owners that are interested in supplying that soil. And remember, it's a barrier layer soil and topsoil.
And top. Mm-hmm.
And then in addition, there's the 50-acre tract that the city bought in 1998, and the thought was that that tract would be used as a future landfill, and that's very unlikely at this point. But the 50 acres would have a volume of topsoil, excuse me, and also the barrier layer soil.
Okay.
And we would be confident that that would pass the permeability. So it's looking like the 50-acre borrow site would probably be our top priority.
Number one.
Now, upon your approval, we would perform that testing.
Is that the possibility of where we'd have the demolition and construction dump?
It is, Mayor. There has been discussion of an MSW landfill, and as we said, that's not very probable, but a landfill for construction and demolition waste is much more likely, and it could take place on that site.
So if the soil is in compliance, we could be killing two birds with one stone by...
If we borrowed from this site, it would not harm us in pursuing a C&D landfill in the future.
Well, I was hoping it would help us, because we
Yeah.
excavate some of that soil out of there.
Right.
Okay, all right.
I'll make a motion to approve engineering services for the closure or post-closure of activities, Gordon Environmental.
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to act on the engineering services for closure and post-closure activities for Gordon Environmental. Could we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Schuster,
Yes.
Commissioner Giacomo,
Yes.
Commissioner Chavez,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Sagata,
Yes.
Mayor Mance.
Yes, motion passes.
Commission, I had reported to you this item previously, and I have got some updated information. So I have a letter here from the Department of Cultural Affairs Historic Preservation Division, and they state, "We're pleased to inform you that the Raton Pass Scenic Highway in Colfax County will be considered for listing in the National Register of Historic Places by the New Mexico Cultural Properties Review Committee at their next meeting. The meeting will take place on June 12th, 2015 at 1 p.m. in the Roundhouse. The Raton Pass Scenic Highway is at least in part owned by the city of Raton. And I'm telling you, so that you can give me any feedback, but on Friday, there will be a meeting and the committee will consider that listing. So you have the option of being present at the meeting and making your wishes known, either in support of the listing or opposing the listing, or we could send in our written comments, and that's fairly quick.
Yeah.
So I don't know if the commission has thoughts on that. I did want to inform you, previously they had notified us of the meeting and that it already happened, but it was an error, and they're having the meeting on June 12th, Friday.
And where is this meeting?
The meeting is in room 321 of the state capitol. Room 321, and I'll make the copies of the letter available to all the commissioners.
And do they have a time?
Yes, it's at 1 p.m.
1.
on June 12th.
Okay. Anything else?
Yes, Mayor. I did receive a call from Dennis Rosh, our representative in the State House of Representatives. Representative Rosh has scheduled a meeting of the Legislative Education Review Study Committee, Legislative Education Study Committee. That will be held in Raton on June 25th and 26th. Now that's a relatively new committee, and Representative Rosh is the chairman of that committee. I understand that the committee is made up of members of the House of Representatives and the State Senate, and there are 31 members that will be attending the meeting in Raton. In addition to staff and other people that will be interested in the discussion of education, there will be about 100 people coming to Raton over the 2-day period to attend the committee meeting. The committee meeting is scheduled to be held in the Raton High School gymnasium, basically from 8:30 to 4:30 one day and 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock the next day. I think that because education is so important to Raton, it's one of our cornerstones that we really need to be very good at in the future. I think it's a great opportunity for us to be in attendance and of course the city of Raton will have the opportunity to address the committee as well as Raton Public Schools.
It'll be like a public hearing, like in Santa Fe?
It'll be a legislative committee hearing. They'll go through their agenda.
Right.
But I would anticipate, Mayor, that members of the commission would be invited to address the committee and welcome them to Raton and raise any issues that we might see as far as education. So June 25th and 26th. And we'll get you full information on that.
Okay.
But that's, I think, a rare opportunity for us to address a legislative committee. It's a very large committee, members of the Senate and the House on this committee that will be captive in Raton.
Right, exactly.
I did attend the public input meeting for the downtown Main Street Master Plan update. We had talked about that. I do plan on attending the Taxation Committee of New Mexico Municipal League on June 27th. I know there are other committees meeting at that time, and some of you will be attending those meetings. I know that there's a meeting of the Environmental Quality Association, and Dan Campbell is the president-elect of that, so he'll be in attendance there also. That's at the Pyramid in Albuquerque, June 27th. So immediately after the Education Study Committee, this meeting will take place in Albuquerque. I'll report on activities of our crews. Public Works has put a lot of effort into prepping those streets from 9th Avenue to 14th Avenue in anticipation of the chip seal process. So they've put a lot of work on that. Those streets really in poor condition, and so they're taking a lot of work and a lot of patching. They've also worked on general drainage improvement. We've seen a lot of debris that clogs up the storm drain inlets, and after every storm they go remove that debris. So we've had some, because of some of the big storms, some work on maintaining drainage systems. Solid waste, of course they get the solid waste shipped out every day, and it's quite an effort. We've seen a lot less bear activity here, honestly, in the last month or 6 weeks, and I attribute that probably to weather conditions. We've had wet conditions, but we have sent out 21 full loads of tires. That's a semi-load of tires to be recycled, and we have about 4 loads that we'll send out in the next 2 weeks. That's all the tires that were baled up. We're still left with some loose tires, and it's our goal to get rid of all of them. But under the current grant that we have, and we'll have to close that out the next couple of weeks, we'll get rid of all of the bales that we had. So that's 25 semi-loads of tires that will be sent out. We did have an inspection by Solid Waste Bureau last week at our transfer station and at our landfill. There were 2 gentlemen here from Santa Fe Solid Waste Bureau that spent a good part of the day inspecting our facilities. As far as our buildings maintenance crew, they've had a lot of work setting up events at the convention center, and we've had some roof leaks on various buildings, so they've been working on sealing those roof leaks at a lot of our buildings. And then you might notice that the front door out here, we've got one of those refinished, and when they get a chance they'll work on the second one. And so they put up a temporary door while they're working on that one, but you can see the one is finished, and I think it looks a lot better than you know, clean that up. A pretty nice door. We wanted to preserve that. Parks crew, of course, this is their busy season, and I think that the condition of the parks really is a testament to Raton. They really look good. Of course, the rain helps, but the grass grows quickly, and we've got just a few guys out there taking care of the parks, and they really do a great job. So I think the parks are looking great. At the library, we have retained Alpha Design, that's Dave Little, to prepare a bid on replacing those leaking water lines that we had been talking about. The issue is we did some testing on insulation. There is an asbestos material that insulates that. That complicates the project, and we would have to abate that asbestos as a part of replacing the water lines. So that process is going on. I'll meet with Alpha Design tomorrow, and we'll go forward with requesting bids. And then as far as police, we do have Officer Coca in California currently. We did make a selection on a new police dog, and he'll spend some time there in training with the new dog. It's about a 2-year-old dog, and it's very important that we have a dog on the crew here as far as the narcotics interdiction. So that'll be going on. Officer Coca performed that training, and then he'll be back in Raton, and the dog will be ready to go to work. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Is there any other business to come before the commission? Seeing none, meeting adjourned. I think that's yours.